Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome into the Lion's Den, the official source for UCCS Sports. I'm your host of the day, M to the J, that is MJR Jamande, and I am broadcasting live inside the Roar office on the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs campus, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, the malign Martin Hines.
The maligned?
The malign Martin Hines.
That does not sound good.
You don't even know what that means, do you? I got a thesaurus out.
Yeah, it's, is that what you're down to looking up words in the thesaurus now?
I think what we need to do is a word of the week, and it's going to be your name every week. Today is malign.
Well, I think we should start up the contest again to get the listeners to send in potential words.
So far, my mom is definitely winning that contest.
Yeah, she's really good at that.
Yeah. And how can they do that, Martin? Where can they go for that?
They can go to our Facebook page.
At?
The Lion's Den.
UCCS. Or on Twitter.
Yeah.
Check us out on Twitter.
That's right. Tweet up, you kids out there.
Yeah, do the social media stuff with us, you know?
Yes.
Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Stalk us in real life. Martin, I've always wanted a stalker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're fun.
Have you had one?
No.
No, but you want
I can
one
imagine. You know, those Hollywood stars, they're just wusses. I got fans following me.
I know. How awesome would that be? To walk outside and there's people in the bushes?
They're trying to jump my fence and break into my house.
Yeah. You know, whatever.
You know?
First world problems.
Yeah. Like, they had a gun on them. Okay.
Big deal.
So what?
Yeah.
So what?
Just give them your autograph.
Exactly. Just give them what they want.
Signature. John Hancock. You know? That's all you need.
Get it done.
Yeah. One day I hope to have those problems, Martin.
Yeah. Yeah, those are what do you call that? High value whatever.
The problems I want to have in life.
Yeah, those are high society problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Martin, how you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Do I look a little out of it this morning? I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like you got a bit of a St. Patty's Day hangover because you're still all in green here, and we're almost half a week removed.
Yes. Well, yes, it was St. Patty's Day, and I know I saw you. I didn't do much on St. Patty's Day. I was in the library, but I saw you. You were dressed up. And I'm not sure what that shirt was, but
I had some green on. Yeah.
Okay.
I went home and watched the fights, Martin. There were some UFC fights on, and I got to tell you, I love me some UFC fights. And you know, our station manager here at UCCS Radio is a big boxing fan, and I feel kind of bad for him sometimes because boxing is a dying sport.
I don't know about that. It's old school, but it's
dying. It's dying, Martin.
It's too bad.
It's too bad, but it is dying.
Yeah.
I mean, it reminds me of like after the automobile was invented and they had roads and these people on horses kept trying to ride the roads and the cars would go by them.
Yes.
I mean, how bad of a situation is that for the guy on the horse? He just wants to go somewhere. It's like boxing. It's getting passed up, man.
Yeah.
I mean, boxing it's seen its heyday, and now is the time of UFC, mixed martial arts.
And I don't follow that. I just can't get into it. Maybe it's a generational thing. I don't know. I've seen, and people who usually watch it, what I've noticed, and I've known a lot of people who follow that, and they actually practice it. You know what I mean? Like they go out and they learn. They're so inspired by it that they actually go out and train and try and get good themselves.
They're going to be better prepared for when somebody actually assaults them. Well, if you actually get attacked, Martin, you're not going to want to stand up and dance around, do circles, and throw jabs and stuff. I mean, you're going to take it to the ground, and you're going to win by any means necessary.
Yeah.
And that's mixed martial arts.
Well, and it teaches you tactics. I mean, other than the disorganized, like, you know, when you're in that situation, the best thing to do is not to pull any punches. Like, you're going to pull out everything that you're going to bite them. You're going to pull their hair. You're going to do whatever. But these guys actually have a strategy.
It's not going to be footwork.
Yeah, but
that wins you that fight.
But they understand that they know how to put a guy in a sleeper hold and knock him out. You know what I mean?
That could.
I mean, I don't know how to do that, but I would revert to other things, and that's basically what mixed martial arts is, right?
Sense. I mean, it's a little
but
more
they
organized,
have but that's what I mean. They have strategy.
Yeah, of course.
And I can see why people would be attracted to that, right? Because I mean, as growing up, we've seen you've seen a lot of like judo. Like when I drive around the city, I see a lot of martial arts
spot here in Colorado Springs for it.
Yeah. So I mean, I understand that. I see where that's going.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I think the UFC and the mixed martial arts world are going to be a little disappointed with the lack of wrestling in the Olympics in 2020 because a lot of wrestlers transition into MMA after their career from wrestling is over. Much more lucrative UFC and mixed martial arts financially.
You're not talking about the wrestling like the Junkyard Dog and the old wrestling.
There's some
like
jumping
that.
ship there too. You got Brock Lesnar, who's a professional wrestler. That's where he got his start. He was an NCAA champion, 2-time champion, and then he went to professional wrestling. Then he went to UFC. Now he's back in professional wrestling. So you have that transition, but I meant real amateur wrestling.
Yeah.
That's a great transition from amateur wrestling to mixed martial arts, and oftentimes you see that. But with the lack of the wrestling presence in the Olympics moving forward, that might be at a decline. So that's unfortunate. But I love me some UFC, Martin.
Yeah, so you watched that? You had fun?
I watched the UFC.
The people who did you root for any particular people? Do you have favorites?
Well,
kind of like
course.
those people in NASCAR. Like those
No,
people
I don't have anybody favorite in NASCAR.
Well, I mean, people who follow NASCAR, they're like, well, Jimmy Johnson's my guy and whatever. So do you
And
have...
how do they talk?
You know, hey, Jimmy Johnson's my guy, case of cane. You
Very
know, I like him.
stereotypical there, Martin.
Yeah, well, I'm from Texas, so I it's easy to stereotype. But so who do you follow in the MMA?
Well, I follow all the big names. Brock Lesnar was my guy. I mean, because he was from professional wrestling, which has long been a favorite sport of mine. I'm a closet wrestling fan.
You closet?
I gotta say. I
when
mean,
are you going to come out?
Well, I got stuff all in my room. I'm a fan. I just
You
don't
have
talk
posters in your room?
Well, not posters, but I do have some beautiful ladies hanging up. So, yeah.
Okay. Well,
But,
you're young.
yeah.
You're young.
Yeah,
you
I
can do that.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, that's right.
You know, I mean, my dad is about, I think he's like 74 right now, 75.
He can do that too.
Let me tell you, that guy, I'm going to share a little bit. My dad was like a gigolo kind of.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, he was in his 50s and 60s, and he was dating girls younger than I was.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, Dad, and he's like, in fact, he wants to come down for graduation. And he's like, you're going to take me out and, around town and whatever. And I'm like, Dad, my dad is better at that kind of stuff than I am. But,
Dad's a player,
I used to go over to his house when I was growing up, and I'd be in high school, and he'd have pictures, of chicks all over. And he had like his decorating style in his living room was straight out of the, who are those two guys, those lion tamers in Vegas?
Oh, Siegfried and Roy.
It was right out of that. Like, if you can imagine how they would decorate.
Yeah, he went and hit up their yard sale.
Yeah, he basically loved like the leopard prints and
who doesn't?
exotic plants and all kinds of that. I was just like, I mean, yeah, and I'd bring the kids over. I had, young kids, and we go visit my dad. We walk in there, and sometimes I'd have to cover the kids' eyes, like, hey, kids, you can't see that stuff. Granddad's a little, racy. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. I could never live up to that, though. But I know I got off the topic here, but I got to tell you, before
UFC.
Yes, but I want to get on to some other things, man.
Oh, okay. You got other things.
Yeah, I know
we
you
got
always.
a lot of UFC stuff, but what else?
I know you asked me, and we can get back to UFC, but I got to tell you something.
We got to cover UCCS at some point, too.
Yeah, we will do that. But something kind of got at me this morning. I was watching the news, and Tiger Woods is dating Lindsey Vonn.
I saw that.
Another blonde. Chick, and I know that it was also that news came right after that his ex is like dating some billionaire or something now.
Oh, really? Well,
and maybe he had to counter that, but it was like all these photos, right, of them like having good Tiger and Lindsey Vonn. Well, I'm like, what is girlfriend? What is she doing?
What photos were they?
Just like like they're sitting together having fun, and
those aren't great. Photos.
But I mean press photos that they put out. But I'm like, what is she thinking? Maybe I shouldn't get after her. That sounds like something that.
I don't know. It sounds like she's dating Tiger Woods, the greatest golfer.
Does she know
of all
who she's
time.
dating?
Yeah.
This guy's a playa.
Probably.
He's not going to stop. I don't care what he says. He's not going to stop.
I mean,
more power to him, I guess.
You never know, Martin. People can change.
I don't think so.
Tiger's a changed man.
No, he's just
don't
better
know.
at hiding it.
Yeah, that might be.
That's what he learned. And that's, I mean, we all learned that, right?
Don't give access to your girlfriend to get a hold of your clubs.
Exactly.
I mean, or
Lock
hide,
those babies up.
yeah, or secure your car a little bit better.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what he really learns out of this. So
But I'm just saying, I noticed that, I mean, you know, she's a great athlete and everything, and I don't know, it's like,
snowboarder, right?
It's just weird.
She might just throw her snowboard through his window. That's
Yeah.
a little more damage.
I mean,
That's bigger.
my question is, MJ, she has to know what she's getting into, right?
So are you saying nobody should ever date Tiger Woods again?
No, I'm not.
I
I'm
mean,
not
the
saying-
man deserves a second chance at love. Isn't that what life is all about?
Sure.
Let's get
Okay.
philosophical here on the Lions Den. Mark.
Yeah.
Everybody,
All right.
everybody needs
You're
a little
right.
love.
You're absolutely right, because that's what this country is really about, though.
Second chances.
Second chances,
That's right.
underdogs.
Yeah, well,
you
he's-
screw up. I mean, that's, you know, it's great. We can have politicians, right, that can, I mean, do some of the worst things you can imagine publicly, and they can come back, and people forget a couple of years, and
I don't forget.
yeah, but I mean, they'll forgive, I think.
Yeah, you forgive, you don't forget.
Yeah, they don't
That's how the
forget.
saying goes.
But the other thing is the thing that I was going to talk
Hey, you got
about.
what else?
One other thing.
One other thing.
Obama is the devil? Seriously?
I saw that on the news last night. What's up with that?
First of all, this Jesus, and I'm not gonna, you know, we don't need to get calls here. I mean, that actually would tell us people are listening. But what I'm saying
the
is,
millions and
yeah,
millions
exactly.
of listening lines out
I'm
there.
not gonna offend people because I know it's the holy season. But the thing is that really, this Jesus
is
series,
interesting.
mini series, right, is getting a lot of attention. Like, I mean, the media is really talking about it. But here comes this thing where, and actually, I can't refute it. I mean, the devil actually, whoever's playing the devil actually kind of looks like Obama.
Well, yeah, I saw that on the news. Striking resemblances there.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, he kind of looks like him, and I know the question was that on purpose? You know, and it may not be. I don't know. But, you know, I mean, so I guess if that's what the devil looks like, the devil's Obama. I know there's plenty of people out there that think Obama's the devil, but that's politics for you. But that's the other thing I had to raise.
Well,
you know?
a lot of people thought George W. was the
devil.
too.
Yeah,
but,
so I mean, you're going to find him on either side.
Yeah, exactly. No matter who's the president, somebody's
Yeah.
always going to think he's the devil.
Yep. So anyway, that was my things this weekend. I know you always ask me what my thoughts were, and I was actually thinking about it on the way to the studio this morning, and I thought, you know, a couple of things are on my mind. Like, I saw the news, and I thought, wait a minute, you know, Obama's the devil. What's up with that?
That's got to be talked about on the Lions Den.
Of course. And then the other thing, Tiger Woods, yeah. Tiger Woods dating
that's
Lindsey
sports
Vonn.
related, so I think that's a good fit.
Yeah, I don't know how I can connect the devil and Obama in this show, but you know, I just did. So there you go.
Well, yeah, leave it to the malign Martin Hines.
That's what mine. There you go, right
you
there.
go. All right. Well, today, Martin, we talked UFC, we talked Obama, we talked Tiger. Now we got to talk UCCS
That's right.
because we had a lot of
And
action
here
over
go
the
our
weekend.
ratings.
Well,
Phew.
no way, straight through the roof. That's what
Okay.
I was thinking.
All right.
Yeah, the listenership, you know, the millions and millions out there. This is what they're waiting for on the edge of their seat is for the UCCS sports analysis by Martin Hines
Yep.
and MJR Jamandi. That's what they listen for.
Well, we do have a lot to talk about as far as the softball team, and I got to tell you, good things from the golf team. Good things from the golf team.
Great things from the golf team. The track and field team was also in action.
Yep.
They're all going to be in action next weekend or over spring break. And again, I got to tell you, of all sports, Martin, you know which one I'd want to partake in here at UCCS?
Which one?
Golf. Always golf.
I know,
They're going to the
seriously.
Grand Canyon for spring break. You know where everybody else is going? They're going to Greeley, Colorado, track and field.
That is
Yeah.
definitely not.
Well,
that's not on the list of like Fort Lauderdale
Yeah.
and
desired travel
and the
destinations.
Bahamas.
Yeah,
and,
Greeley,
and-
Colorado.
Yeah, and South Padre and
Yeah.
what's
the
that?
Grand Canyon. I
Yeah,
mean, come on.
and you're going to Greeley.
Going to Greeley.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the softball team is staying here. I mean, I love Colorado Springs, but it's spring break.
You know, and that's the thing. Let's ask our listeners if anybody's out there listening. How about you tell us? You go to our Facebook page or tweet what a couple of things. One thing is what you're planning to do for spring break this spring break coming up next week. So tell us what your plans are. The second thing is the craziest thing you kids did out there for spring break, or maybe you haven't done it yet, but what you plan to do. So share that. Try and keep it PG if you can.
Yeah, unlike Martin Hines last week talking about the Meister.
Matt Meister.
Let's not go there again.
Yes.
But, let's keep it more PG than the host of the show.
Yes. So here's the thing. So go to Facebook, try and look, kind of tell us what's going on, or Twitter, tweet it. Tell us what your plans are, how crazy you're going to get. You're going to be in a coma for a couple of days and come back from your alcohol-induced coma, whatever it is. I don't know. But
I don't know what the kids are doing these days.
I know these days. I'm just curious because I want to compare it to when I was, back in the day.
Well, you might have to share some of those stories sometimes about how you got out of control. Maybe a wild and crazy spring break adventure with your dad, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll get to that maybe after we get back from break. But one thing we will get to is some UCCS softball, because they were in action this past weekend, and one of their luxurious trips of the season, Martin, they went down to Alamosa and competed against the Adams State Grizzlies for a 4-game series. So we're going to cover that when we get back right here on the Lions Den.
Hello, I'm Pam Shockley-Zalabak, and you are tuned into the Lions Den, the official source for UCCS sports.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you're tuned in to the Lions Den, the official source for UCCS sports. Martin, I ask you this question each and every week, and you do a great job of answering this question, so I'm going to keep asking this question. When I say we're the official source of UCCS sports, Martin, what does that mean?
That means we get the insight. We get the interviews. We get the perspectives. We get the inside knowledge, right?
From who?
From coaches and players.
So who do we got today?
We have nobody.
Oh, we got nobody.
We have nobody.
No guest today.
Sometimes we have to have an off week.
Well, I mean,
seriously.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we got to catch up, Martin, because how many weeks we've had great guests. Last week was Luke Dakin and Rob Scribner from the UCCS track and field team. And I got to tell you, Martin, that's one of the best stories I think that I've covered here at UCCS is their efforts to help rebuild schools in Kenya and their efforts to collect running shoes to donate to the children of Kenya so that way they can continue their running tradition. So again, for our millions and millions of listening Lions out there, if there's anything you can do to help out the track and field team and their efforts, please do so. Contact UCCS Sports Information. Check us out on Facebook. You can find information there too. Request some additional information if you'd like to help out, but that'd be great. So Martin, great story there. And who else have we had on the show just this semester?
Well, we've had some of the softball players. We had
Landry Davis and Laura Mathewson.
Yep,
that's
we had them on.
We had Coach Peterson on.
Coach Pete, who is always a very colorful character.
Yeah, very charismatic, that Coach Peterson.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. And Coach Peterson, did you know his overall record right now? 306, 305, and 1.
Really? Yeah. Wow, so he's above 500.
Just barely.
Just barely.
Yeah.
I think he's going to stay above 500.
Think so?
Yeah, I think the team I project them to make the postseason this year. So, I mean, I think they're playing well enough and breaking down stats. But,
must be the bump, right?
It is the bump. It is the bump.
The bump?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're definitely talking them up. And I got to tell you, I don't know if they'll necessarily need the bump this weekend because, and you don't want to take any opponent lightly, but this is they're back home. And they are good at home.
Well, the best start since 2007 at home. Right now, they're 6-0. And Martin, you're right. This weekend, the softball team is going to be hosting New Mexico Highlands. And New Mexico Highlands right now, an overall record of 10, 18, and 1. A conference record of 3, 12, and 1. I mean, they're not very good.
Yeah, well, and they've struggled, and one thing you look at is the run differential of the teams that they play. You can't so much look at the records, but you look at the run differential, and it's pretty obvious. Teams that give up more runs than they score are not very good.
Well, that makes sense.
And so the UCCS has been fortunate to play several teams, including this one, at home. that have horrible run differentials. They don't have good records. In fact, Regis and Metro are two of the worst teams in the conference. And the good thing is that UCCS, when they do come across opponent that they should beat, they do. And I think that's the difference is in a good team and a so-so team is the good teams beat the ones that they're supposed to. Although I will say this team has been up and down on the road, and that's kind of an issue. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Well, you saw that this weekend as they went down to Alamosa and played Adams State, and they started off the series great. They got a win 3-0 in the first game, and you think, here comes the potential for UCCS to sweep a strong team because Adams State was second in the RMAC going into this weekend. They had a great record, and they got a really good team. The Mountain Lions beat Adams State earlier on to start the season in 2 non-conference games. But as we've talked about, Martin, this was a much different Grizzly team, and the Mountain Lions saw that in games 2 and 3 as UCCS lost 4-3 and 9-4. And those were both games where the Mountain Lions were in position to win at one time and late into those games, and they let the Grizzlies hang around. And then the Grizzlies put up a monster inning in the 6th inning of Game 3 to go ahead and win 9-4. That was a close game, Martin. It was tied 4-4 until late in that game. And then a grand slam in the inning and another run, and it was over.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple of times in their road losses where they were in tight games and then they just lost it, and the other team put up a bunch of runs, and so that's something that Coach Peterson and the team will have to figure out how to kind of combat that and stay focused. Sometimes I think they kind of lose their focus during times like that and that's what makes good teams great teams. Is you got to maintain focus there. If you have a lead, you need to put your foot on their throat and keep them down and not give up the big innings like that because, quite frankly, I mean, good teams win close games as well. And the thing is that when UCCS wins, and their wins, and the wins that they've had, they score at least 10 runs. And their losses, they score only 1.6 runs per game. That's just not getting it done. For some reason, when they win big. When they lose, they can't produce anything. They don't walk. They strike out more. I mean, all these things are pretty evident when you're losing, right? But they've got to, most of these losses have come on the road. So they've got to figure out something. Because when they've played at home, they've played 2 triple headers, and they're undefeated in those triple headers.
Well, that's the key. You got to keep playing triple headers if you're UCCS.
I think so.
But they answered well this past weekend against Adams State. They won the first game, lost the next 2, but then answered back in the final game of the series. They won by that differential you just mentioned. They won 11-1 and recorded their 7th run rule win of the season. They've only lost once to that run rule. So you see, when they win big. When they lose, they just don't score.
It's funny. It's like you're saying, feast or famine. When they get up early, they just kill the other team. And sometimes when they get behind, or if it's close, they've won a few close games. But sometimes, I guess, on the road, it's a little more difficult. And I don't know if you're going to mention, but there is one player I thought that did a really good job over the weekend.
Just one?
Well, I'm saying one in particular.
There were quite a few, if you ask me, Martin.
There was, but I think that the performance that this one player did for the team in that final game was impressive. I think she pitched the final game.
Corey Colpin.
That's right.
She's 2-0 on the season,
Well,
Martin.
not just that, but I mean, she came in, she held them to 1 run. Her numbers were great. She pitched 5 innings, solid innings. She put up a great performance, and that's what you like to see. You expect it from your number 1 and your number 2, and then you're hoping to get a good performance out of your young third pitcher. And she was probably the best out of the 3, it seems like, to me.
This
came back
weekend, she's the only one who had a winning record in the series. But I got to tell you, Martin, I think that is such a luxury for this team because you have a solid 1-2 punch in Becca Smith and Jessica Belsterling. Becca Smith, right now, 9-4. on the season. So she's definitely an ace. But how great is that to have that third pitcher to throw at your opponent? Because day one, you got Becca Smith and you got Jessica Belsterling. Day two, the Grizzlies are thinking, okay, well, Smith pitched the first game, so we can expect Belsterling again. That's not the case, because you got that third option that you throw at the lineup, and all of a sudden, they haven't seen what this pitcher has all series, and in the final game, a little more fatigue is there, and so you really give that advantage to Colpins, and you see right now 2-0. I mean, only...
Well, she came in fresh.
Right.
You know, and it helps your staff. It gives the other two pitchers a break, and it really takes the pressure off Becca Smith and Belsterling. You know, it kind of says, okay, we've got somebody else to come in.
You're right, Martin. I mean, I think that's a great thing that the Mountain Lions have, that an extra benefit to have that third pitcher, no doubt.
Yes.
So this weekend, Martin, before we cut to break, we're about at halftime, so we got to cut to break. But before we do, we got to preview this weekend's game, which we've kind of done already. But again, the Mountain Lions are going to take on New Mexico Highlands, and New Mexico Highlands not a very good team. I mean, they're in the bottom quarter of the RMAC standings with the conference record of 3-12-1. So on paper, Martin, this is a series that the Mountain Lions can come out and sweep and get all 4 games, and they've been a little robbed in a sense due to the weather, because two of the series that they have swept, they only got 3 games in each. So they could easily right now, Martin, be 8-0 at home. But a great opportunity for this team to come home, defend their home field again. And Martin, we're going to be out there for the games.
Yes.
Saturday's games will be on UCCS Radio. I'll be doing play-by-play. Sunday's games will not be on UCCS Radio, but we will still have a broadcast through Ustream, so check that out on GoMountainLions.com for more information for those games. And stay tuned, because those are some big games coming up for UCCS, because if they can win 4 of those games, all 4, Martin, they'd be 10-0 at home.
Yeah, and that's
huge.
That's important, but not to make anything light, and I'll just throw it in real quick. Highlands does score. They're 4th in on-base percentage right now at 394. And or 393, they're 5th. But the crazy thing, MJ, they get thrown out when they steal bases 56% of the time. I think I'd tell them, hey, don't steal bases. You guys aren't good at it.
Just stop trying to steal.
Yeah, but they do really good. They strike out just a little bit more than they walk, and their run differential is pretty good, but they're underneath on that. They only scored 154 runs, but they've given up 190. So, yeah, they score a lot of runs, but they also give up a lot of runs.
Well, it's supposed to be windy this weekend in Colorado Springs, so you might see a home run derby here at Mountain Lion Field. If you want to see that, you got to come out and check out the games. The first game will be on Saturday at noon, followed by another game at 2 o'clock, and then the series will wrap up on Sunday with games at 11 and 1 o'clock. So you can check out the games, listen to the play-by-play right here on UCCS Radio or Ustream, and come out to the games and watch live. So, Martin, we got to cut to break. When we come back, though, we're going to talk some UCCS golf. They were not in action this past weekend, but some big news from the golf scene at UCCS, and then a big tournament coming up in Grand Canyon next weekend. So, we're going to cover that right here on the Lions Den when we get back from break, right here in just a minute.